Chapter 6: The Great Experiment. What happened next was chaos. Within 3 days, half the herbivores in the region were experimenting with fermented fruits, and several of the smaller carnivores had decided to try expanding their palates. The local ecosystem began to resemble less a balanced food web and more a very large, very disorganized dinner party. Gary found himself in the unexpected role of reluctant coordinator, mostly because he seemed to be the only dinosaur who was still eating a normal diet and maintaining basic cognitive function. "Gary," Herb called out as he approached the clearing that had become the unofficial headquarters of what everyone was now calling the Great Dietary Experiment. "You have to try these fermented cycad nuts." "I have to do nothing of the sort," Gary replied. But he couldn't help noticing that Herb looked remarkably healthy for someone who'd been living on experimental vegetation for 3 days. "But they make math make sense." "Math?" "You know, like proportions and patterns and the way numbers relate to each other. I spent all morning calculating the optimal ratio of fermented to fresh fruit, and I think I've discovered the secret to dietary harmony." Gary looked around the clearing, which was currently occupied by about a dozen dinosaurs in various states of botanical experimentation. Carla was deep in conversation with a Parasaurolophus about the spiritual implications of chlorophyll. Spike was attempting to teach Rex how to properly chew fibrous plant matter. Stella had descended from her tree entirely and was leading what appeared to be a group meditation session focused on connecting with plant consciousness. "Herb," Gary said slowly, "what exactly is happening here?" "Evolution!" Herb declared. "We're witnessing the birth of a new kind of dinosaur society, one based on expanded consciousness, dietary diversity, and interspecies cooperation. It looks like a bunch of dinosaurs getting high on weird plants. Same thing, different perspective." Before Gary could argue, Rex approached them with a peculiar expression on his face. "Gary," Rex said, "I need to tell you something." "What's wrong?" Gary asked, immediately concerned. Rex was moving more slowly than usual, and his normally sharp gaze seemed slightly unfocused. "I tried eating some of those fermented berries Carla recommended. And I think I understand what Herb was talking about with the plant conspiracy." Gary's heart sank. "Rex, please tell me you're not about to explain how plants are secretly controlling the ecosystem?" No, it's bigger than that." Rex sat down heavily, his massive form settling with unusual care. "I think plants are trying to teach us something." "Teach us what?" "That we're all connected. That the boundaries we think exist between predator and prey, between carnivore and herbivore, between consumer and consumed, they're all just illusions." Gary stared at his friend. "Rex, you're having a philosophical revelation because you ate psychoactive berries." "Maybe, but what if the berries are just helping me see what was always true?" Gary looked around the clearing again, this time with growing alarm. Every dinosaur present was displaying similar symptoms: heightened emotional states, unusual philosophical insights, and a tendency to find profound meaning in previously mundane experiences. "This is getting out of hand," Gary muttered. "Or maybe it's getting into the right hands," suggested a new voice. Gary turned to see Dr. Brachia, an elderly brachiosaurus who served as the region's closest approximation to a medical professional. She approached with the measured gait of someone who had seen many strange things over the years and was rarely surprised anymore. "Dr. Brachia," Gary said with relief, "finally, another voice of reason. Please tell me you're here to talk some sense into everyone." Dr. Braccia looked around the clearing with professional interest. "Actually, Gary, I'm here because I've been observing this situation with considerable fascination." Fascination? From a medical standpoint, what's happening here is quite remarkable. I've been tracking the health indicators of everyone involved in this experiment, and the results are unexpected. Gary felt a flicker of hope. Unexpected how? Are they getting sick, malnourished, suffering from digestive problems? Quite the opposite. Dr. Braccia settled down with the air of someone preparing to deliver a lecture. Their digestive systems seem to be adapting remarkably well to the new dietary inputs. Their energy levels are elevated but stable. Their stress indicators are down significantly. But they're all acting crazy. Are they? Dr. Braccia looked thoughtful. Or are they acting differently? Gary, when was the last time you saw this community cooperating so effectively? Gary followed her gaze and realized she had a point. The clearing was organized chaos, yes, but it was organized. Different species were working together, sharing resources, communicating across traditional predator-prey boundaries. Even the philosophical discussions, bizarre as they were, involved dinosaurs actually listening to each other. Gary paused, unsure how to respond. Moreover, Dr. Braccia continued, I've been analyzing the nutritional content of some of these fermented plants, and they're remarkably rich in compounds that we don't normally get from traditional diets. Antioxidants, complex vitamins, novel enzymes. So you're saying this is actually healthy? I'm saying it's more complex than either beneficial or harmful. It appears to be triggering adaptive responses in ways we don't fully understand. Gary felt like the ground was shifting beneath his feet. But surely there must be some negative effects. Oh, certainly. Dexter had a rather unpleasant reaction to those purple mushrooms yesterday, and some of the carnivores are struggling more than others with the dietary transition. See, I knew this was dangerous. Gary, Dr. Braccia said gently, Dexter ate an entire cluster of mushrooms that I specifically warned everyone to avoid. And the carnivores who are struggling are the ones who are trying to change too much too quickly. The ones who are taking Herb's gradual approach are doing fine. Gary looked over at Herb, who was now engaged in an animated discussion with a small group of mixed herbivores and carnivores about something he was calling nutritional biomechanics. I can't believe I'm about to say this, Gary said slowly. But are you suggesting that Herb was actually right about something? Dr. Braccia smiled. Gary, in my experience, the most revolutionary discoveries often come from the individuals everyone else thinks are crazy.